Welcome back, host. Have a great show.
We're now in the approach phase. Everything looking good. Hi, this is Charles Butler, host of the Reality Check with Charles Butler. What we try to accomplish on the Reality Check is to bring information to make you an informed decision maker. That's what we do here at the Reality Check with Charles Butler. We're going to have Dr. Bada Cohen join us a little later. We're going to talk about the Mueller report. We're going to talk a little bit about William Barr and, what's going on with the contempt vote that the House is taking, which is crazy. It's not going anywhere. Remember, the House, when Barack Obama was president, the House numerous times, uh, well, several times, they ruled that Eric Holder was in contempt of Congress. Guess what? Did it go anywhere? Absolutely not. Went nowhere at all. In fact, um, that's the way these things kind of work. They didn't go anywhere. The contempt charges. We often look at, and I look at what's going on out here today, the grandstanding, the lies. This guy Hakeem Jeffries is just an embarrassment, and I'm going to bring Dr. Cohen on. He's with us from National Center of Public Policy Research out of Washington, D.C., writes for numerous publications. And you'll see Dr. Cohen on TV shows around the uh, TV spectrum from MSNBC through Fox, all of them. Welcome to the show, Dr. Cohen. How you doing? How you doing today, Dr. Cohen?
Fine, fine.
Great. I have been looking at this circus all morning because I had to, of things that were said about Mr. Barr. I really like William Barr, and I like William Barr because he's such an adult. He's so cool. You had a Senator Harano out of Hawaii who dropped all Senate protocol, all Senate decorum. She called this man out of his name, called him a liar, called him a criminal. She just called him, and he just sat there and he didn't change it. He didn't say anything. He just let, I mean, Lindsey Graham finally had to step in and said, enough is enough. I mean, I've never seen a an official, a cabinet member attacked by a Senate committee the way these people attacked William Barr last week. Have you?
No, I haven't. But of course, they have very compelling reasons for doing so. Mr. Barr has already said that he is going to open an investigation. I think the choice of words he used was look into the origins of the Mueller investigation, rather the origins of the FBI's investigation, which was a Justice Department investigation, and also the involvement of the CIA into the Trump campaign back in 2016. And this is somewhere a lot of people do not want him to go for very good reasons, because what will come out of that will put the findings of Mr. Mueller in the shade, because we're going to see where the real collusion was, and we are going to see how our top law enforcement agency and the intelligence community joined forces with the obvious knowledge of certain elements of the Obama administration to interfere in a political campaign. That is going to be ultimately something very explosive, combined with the Justice Department Inspector General Horowitz, probably sometime next month. And so the people who were the hunters over the past 2 years are suddenly going to become the hunted. That being the case, the order of the day is to destroy Barr in advance. He must be discredited. He must be demonized. He must be sold to the public as a flunky of the Trump administration, which he most certainly is not. He's actually a very much an establishment figure, having served as George H.W. Bush's attorney general many years ago. But that's the game that's being played here. And of course, no one familiar with the senator from Hawaii was expecting much decorum on her part anyway. But it's a foretaste of things to come, because Mr. Barr is a very dangerous man in the view of those people who may suddenly find themselves in his crosshairs.
Well, I thought that Christopher Wray, the FBI director, I thought his response this week to the question of spying, I thought that was pretty interesting. He said, well, spying is it's all a local collegial kind of way to say spying or not, and this is what he had to say, which tickled me to death because I mean, what's the difference? He was like saying, well, the FBI, they don't spy really. That's what he was trying to say. Let's listen to it real quick.
And do you believe, Director Ray, that the FBI and its agents spied into the 2016 presidential campaign operation?
Well, again, I want to be careful about how I answer that question here because there is an ongoing Inspector General investigation. I have my own thoughts based on limited information I've seen so far, but I don't think it would be ripe or appropriate for me to share those at this stage because I really do think it's important for everybody to respect the independent Inspector General's investigation, which I think this line of questioning starts to implicate, and I think it's very important for everybody to be able to have full confidence in his review.
And at this
Wow. What a unique change. Let's respect the special investigators. Let's respect his report. Yesterday I made a comment on a show, Laura Colt's show. She's out on XM, and I said, Laura, you guys keep talking about collusion, and the report said there was collusion and obstruction. I said that's not true. The report said just the opposite. So I said, so there's only one set of facts. There's not an interpretation. You can interpret those facts, and interpreting facts are called opinions, but your opinions are wrong because the facts are, and the so we were taking a test, you would clearly get it wrong because the in the statement it says no collusion, no obstruction. Hello.
Well, there is a certain disdain for facts in the pantheon of leftist thinking. This is something that's actually been around since the 19th century in one form or another, but it's really come to the fore since President Trump has taken office. In the eyes of the cultural Marxist left, truth should not be tied to facts. truth is what serves the political goal of the left. And if we allow ourselves to be tied to facts, we will not be serving the more noble cause of transforming the United States from what it is now, not to mention what it was 15 or 20 years ago, and to the socialist utopia that they want to make the United States. So we can't be bogged down in facts. So they're not really interested in facts. If you say, well, that's factually incorrect, they don't care. Many of them, of course, don't know that something's factually incorrect anyway, because they're that either that ignorant or that stupid. Others, in fact, do know it, but they don't care because their assertions are serving what they would have you to believe is a higher purpose. Not for nothing was the organ of the Communist Party of the dearly departed Soviet Union called Pravda, which is Russian for truth. Well, the whole thing was packed full of lies, but those lies served the interests of the ruling elite in the Soviet Union, and you have a version of that going on in this country now. You can see it at universities, and you can see it in the mainstream media all the time.
Well, what really gets me is when these people start talking about being politically correct. And, I've never liked that term. I am not politically correct. I try to tell the truth. I try to use facts and do analysis, and that's not always politically correct. So, there is a football player. Yesterday, I turned on the television, or Monday morning, I'm sorry, I turned television, and there's a football player that that FIFA, the soccer or football association in Europe, is trying to take away his livelihood, trying to fire him from his job because he said that the participants in the LGBTQ community are condemning themselves to hell, and he quoted scripture. So, but no,
They
Bonner's not
didn't
funny.
like that, I'm
But
sure.
Bonner is not. No, Bonner is not funny. They're trying to take this man's livelihood. They're trying to
Of
take
course.
his job. And I am so
Oh,
tired.
yeah.
I am so tired of the labeling of people. Oh, Donald Trump's a racist. I said, well, give me an example. They go, well, no, let's just give me an example. Well, where's Charlottesville? No, he was right. There were good people in Charlottesville protesting, and there were good people who were marching with some white nationalists who were attacked by the protesters. I said, look at the video. Don't take my word for it. Look at who attacked whom. So their justification for attacking these people who were marching peacefully to the monument to protest that they wanted the monument to stay in the park. Again, liberals like to flip the facts. So that so how somehow me attacking the Klan. And I think the Klan should have been barred years ago. They should have been declared a terrorist organization years ago. When we were declared after 9/11, and they didn't declare the Ku Klux Klan a domestic terrorist group, I knew the jig is up because people aren't being honest. There's nothing about the Ku Klux Klan that's political, economic, or social. It is a terrorist hate group without question, and it should have been under attack, and it is being surveilled. But bottom line is, for me, along those lines, we just have to uh, call a spade. Not no pun intended, but people don't want to do that. When you do that, like Barr said, wait a minute, I'm going to. I guess 90% of the report is open to the Congress, and Congress can go see the unredacted version, but they have to go to a special room. None of the Democrats have gone and done that. Only Republicans have done that.
Not one. Yep.
So when you look at that,
That's
Bonner,
right.
when you look,
They will discover there everything. The only thing that's redacted in that room is information that pertains to ongoing grand jury investigations. No, under law, nobody is allowed to see that. but everything else is there. And I know that Congressman Collins, who's the ranking Republican on the House Judiciary Committee, he's gone over and read the whole thing. Not a single Democrat, including Chairman Nadler, has taken the time to go over there and do that, which tells you how seriously they really take this.
Yeah, but Barr was very clear. He said there are four conditions that we're going to redact, and we're going to color code them for you. So we're going to color code the grand jury information by statute. You cannot read that. That cannot be released to the public. And so
That's right.
these people are asking, either they're just stupid, and I think they are stupid, saying, well,
Yeah, most of them are.
we need the report released, the whole report released to the public. Well, what don't you get, stupid? That there's a statute that says you can't release grand jury information. You have to protect those people. The other thing was ongoing investigations, and then there was it were four conditions: ongoing investigations. Um, God, there were four conditions. I had them written down at one time, but there were four conditions that he was going to.
Hey, this is Leonora Cravota from Red State Talk Radio for My Pillow. I used to have trouble sleeping. My Pillow changed all that. I now fall asleep.
Sorry about that, Bonner. We got to skip the commercial that we were looking at. That there are four conditions that Mr. Barr said. Hey, wait a minute, I can't release that information because there's statutes that don't allow me to do that. It's against the law.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So they want him to break the law.
Yeah, they want the attorney general to break the law, right?
And then say,
some example he'd be setting, right?
Oh man. So how do you get to the redacted issues? You go look at the report in the room, and none of these Democrats have done that.
Yeah, not a single one, which tells us that all they're interested is the show, and the show has to go on because ultimately they know that trying to impeach him will backfire on them. First of all, it won't happen; they'll never get the votes in the Senate, even if it can get it out of the House. Secondly, it would require certain Democrats who won Republican seats last fall to vote, and if they do vote to impeach, then they could be in real trouble getting themselves reelected. And if they vote against it, they run the risk of being primaried by some other pro-impeachment Democrat. So for them, it's lose-lose. This is why Nancy Pelosi won't let impeachment happen, or will do the best she can to make sure it doesn't happen. Not that she doesn't want it herself, but she knows it would risk the majority status that the Democrats have in the House. If you can't have impeachment, you've got to have the next best thing, and that's show trials. And that's what we're going to see from now all the way until November of 2020. Now, whether that will turn out to be a good thing for the Democrats or not is quite another subject. But that's what we're going to be doing. Meanwhile, if you look at what's going on at the U.S.-Mexican border, if you look at what's going on in sanctuary cities, if you look at all the other things that Congress is supposed to be doing, they're doing none of that, absolutely zero. So rather than governing in the traditional sense of the word, they're simply continuing the hissy fit that they have had ever since November 8th.
What I really think is going on here is, like you said, I agree with everything that you said, but the reality is, like Hakeem, what's his last name? Congressman Hakeem, I wrote it down. I'm losing it. Jeffries.
Yeah.
Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries, there we go. Yeah.
I mean, the guy is such a lost leader. It's not even funny. He's so far off base. But I wanted to cover those four categories where Barr was very clear to the committee that he couldn't release by statute, and he would redact. And he said, and I'm going to color code why we redacted these pieces. The first was material, subject to the federal rule of criminal procedure under 6E, that the law cannot make public. He said material and the intelligence community identifies as potentially compromising sensitive sources and methods. Um, Material that could affect other ongoing matters, including those that the special counsel had referred to other department offices, and for uh, information that would unduly infringe on the personal privacy and uh, reputational interests of perennial third parties. So, and he color coded it, right? So Hakeem Jeffrey steps into the fray and says, well, you weren't concerned when you went after Hillary Clinton. Well, wait a minute. Hillary Clinton destroyed 35,000 subpoenaed emails, hard drives, and telephones. How can you equate? Jim Comey. I was reading a story about Jim Comey the other day, and they said Jim Comey needs to get a ticket to a country with no extradition because he's in real trouble.
No, that's right.
But here we go again. People making up things, making up their own rules, making up their own truths. And Mr. Jeffries, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing what the guy has to say. I mean, let's listen to this real quick.
Let me first just say that I expect that when the court does hear this challenge, if it comes to that, I expect that she will rule in favor of the constitutional separation and checks and balances in our oversight function. I really don't understand the arguments that have been articulated by my colleagues. And as I understand it, there have been three different reasons that have been suggested for opposing our effort to simply uphold our Article 1 responsibility as a separate and co-equal branch of government. One, that this whole thing is a politically inspired witch hunt.
It is a politically inspired witch hunt.
That's exactly, yeah, right.
I mean, wait a minute. The guy, the poor guy, he only redacted the four categories. He didn't redact anything else.
That's right.
So it goes on and on and on, and people just aren't satisfied. They're never going to be satisfied, and that's just the way it is. I mean, I just as we matriculate this uh, this session, you and I haven't spoken a month or so, but I think the president, he does better and better every month. I think people are finally getting back to being themselves, not being politically correct, and looking out for their interests and their children's interests. And there was a guy on TV today, and I can't remember what city he was from, but he said they spend $55 million a year on just legal defense for illegals. $55 million a city.
Mm-hmm.
It was a city, a municipality.
Yeah.
He said, we don't have that kind of money. We could use
No,
that money to do
taxpayer
something
money.
else with.
Yeah. That's supposed to go toward putting in new water mains, repairing streets, doing the kinds of things that local governments are supposed to be doing, and instead that money is being diverted to take care of legal issues of people who are here illegally in the first place. And that's just one example. Just think of how many jurisdictions across the country are having to do the same
We're doing
thing.
that. We're doing that here in Chicago. We can't buy computers for school kids in certain parts of town, but we can pay for health care. We can pay for busing. We can pay for housing of what they call them unaccompanied minors. They bought buildings.
Right.
They bought whole buildings and put unaccompanied minors in them. So it's just I think it's a disgrace to the country, certainly a disgrace to poor Americans to be pushed to the back of these illegal people who are not here as citizens.
That's right.
When I
And
say
the biggest losers here are American citizens who have suddenly, all of them, become second class citizens, having to take a back seat to the illegals who are here. And they are the ones who are receiving taxpayer funded this, taxpayer funded that. And they are the ones who knowingly, the adults anyway, knowingly came here illegally and were welcomed actually with open arms by the left in this country, who rightly see in them future voters for leftist meaning democratic causes, which is the real reason they have absolutely no interest whatsoever in fixing the border, because it's not in their long-term political interest to do so.
No, and these people, I think liberals constitute like 20% of the electorate, but they somehow think if you don't think like them, if you don't follow them, then something's wrong with you. Bonner, something's going to continue to be wrong with me because I just can't get into it. I just can't. These people, I think they're disgusting.
They are, and we are seeing just how disgusting they are every time we make the mistake of turning on television, because sometimes you have to, to find out what's going on, and you see these ridiculous circuses that are now going on in the House of Representatives, and will continue to go on for months and months to come. Meanwhile, problems that really need to be addressed are not going to be addressed. And these people have shown beyond a shadow of a doubt that they are completely incapable of governing anything.
Well, this Jeffers, Congressman Jeffers, he made a statement. He opened up and he said that Mueller's report shows Moscow artificially placed President Trump in the White House, despite, and this is
Yeah.
despite, there's no evidence of a Trump Russian collusion. Can you believe it? I mean, they try to pass these lies off.
Yeah.
That's
Again,
true.
it gets back to what, the truth means absolutely nothing whatsoever. Just whatever the talking point that some 20 something put together for his boss to say. And sadly, there are millions and millions and millions of people who, having never been exposed to anything else, take that at face value. And that is one of the reasons why we have such a divided country today, because we no longer have a media we can trust. Newspapers in this country are dying rapidly, and we are left with really social media as being a major part of how news is, or quote unquote news in some cases, is transmitted. And of course, the big tech companies are doing their dead level best to make sure that certain things are kept out of social media or suppressed on social media, while certain other messages that more often than not are contrary to the truth receive widespread coverage. So no one should be surprised that a Congressman Jeffords or anyone else is reelected over and over again. You just have to look at what level and quality of information people receive from our media today, not to mention what they're taught or not taught at schools and at universities.
Well, they're not taught much because they don't they don't teach reading, writing, and arithmetic anymore. That's
Oh no, that went out a long time ago.
yeah. No reading, no writing, no arithmetic. It's Bobby, let's see what you could pull out of your butt today.
That's right.
Bobby, do you want to wear a dress today? I
No, you really don't want me to do. No.
I saw a video. I saw a video a couple of weeks ago and talked about it, where this grandfather went up to the school to see a preschool teacher about putting a dress on his grandson. He said, "We don't play that in my house. We don't play that. Boys don't dress up like girls."
Mhm.
Anyway, hey, look, Bonner, it's 1:30, a little bit past 1:30. Appreciate you being with us. What would you like to
Okay,
leave? What would you like to
enjoy
leave us?
being here as always.
What would you like to leave with us today, Bonner?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you like to leave with us today?
I'd like to leave with this, that stay tuned for more of the same. that the left in this country is clearly unnerved by what President Trump is doing. They rightly see him as a threat, and they are willing to go to any means possible, including lying through their teeth as often as they possibly can to destroy his administration and to destroy the things that he is trying to do in this country, which first and foremost include getting America's ruling elite and putting that ruling elite in its place where it should have been put a long time ago.
And I say amen to that, because we've had many presidents, Democrat and Republican, who walked away from the challenge of taking on Russia and China. And here's a president who's taken them both on.
Does both and throws in Afghanistan, throws in Iran, and whatever else. Yeah, the more the merrier for Trump.
Yeah, he's like, send the Truman over there off the coast and let them know we're not playing. But this is the interesting thing: the Iranian people have always liked Americans.
Oh, that's right.
But anyway, thanks again, Bonner. Thanks for being with me. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, take
All
care.
right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Mr. Bonner Cohen, folks. And we're going to take a little break here.
Hey, this is Leonora Cravota from Red State.
Yeah, we're going to take a little break and come back and deal with some of these lying congressmen. We need to clean some things up, get a better perspective.
Hey, this is Leonora Cravota from Red State Talk Radio for My Pillow. I used to have trouble sleeping. My Pillow changed all that. I now fall asleep within moments of my head touching my pillow. That's how comfortable My Pillow is with its patented interlocking fill. My Pillow stays cool and does not go flat. Plus, it's machine washable and dryable. My Pillow has a 10-year warranty and a 60-day comfort guarantee. My Pillow is also the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation, and it's made right here in the USA. My Pillow is now offering Red State Talk Radio listeners a 4-pack special with 2 premium standard or queen pillows and 2 go anywhere pillows. That's 4 pillows for the price of 1. To take advantage of this special offer, call 1-800-961-9194 and ask for promo code Red State. That's 1-800-961-9194, promo code Red State. Put sleepless nights behind you with My Pillow, the most comfortable pillow you will ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Kim Moline, co-owner of the Wingstop restaurants in Lansing and South Holland.
Hey, Tom, I've got to be honest. Although I was unhappy with our old payroll company, I was pretty apprehensive about transitioning to a new one. When it comes to payroll, delays and lost data are really unacceptable. But I'm happy to say your staff really made it easy for us, and the transition couldn't have been smoother. And now, as we consider taking advantage of some of the other services you offer, well, let's just say that next time we won't be so chicken.
Thanks, Kim. Just call me at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507. Or check us out at the web at precisionpayroll.com. That's precisionpayroll.com.
Okay, we're back and spent a little time talking about Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. See, this is what really upsets me about black politicians. They're just mindless. I don't know where these people come from, but I'm certainly going to call his office and let him know what I think. It's pathetic with this black congressman who's supposedly moving up in the Democrat leadership in the House. He'll be somewhere in the next 20 years. Here we go.
Nonsense. 2, they want to all of a sudden protect the reputational interests of innocent Americans. Nonsense. 3, This blanket assertion of executive privilege, nonsense. Let's take all three. First of all, 17 different intelligence agencies have concluded that Russia interfered with our election, attacked our democracy for the sole purpose of artificially placing someone at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. They were successful. And that's also what the Mueller report shows. This is not.
That's not true. The Mueller report shows no collusion between Trump and Russia. And by the way, we're making a big deal out of Russia interfering in our election. We know that Barack Obama directly interfered in Israel election, and he personally said, Barack said himself, I'm trying to get uh, Netanyahu removed from office. I'm trying to defeat Bibi. And he sent about $300,000 over there for that election. It's a lot of money. A lot of money. Didn't come out of the sour either, I bet. But these are the kind of lies that are being spewed on the Hill day after day by supposedly half-wit intelligent black folks. And it just angers me too much.
Not a politically inspired witch hunt. I'm confused. Every single person at the helm of this investigation is a Republican. The person who initiated the investigation, former FBI Director James Comey, Republican. The FBI director who replaced him and presided over the investigation, Christopher Wray, Republican. The person who decided to appoint a special counsel to preside over the investigation and then monitored it at the helm of the Department of Justice, the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, Republican. The person who actually conducted the investigation, a war hero.
Yeah, but these people, and he's going to say about Mueller, but these people could care less about Donald Trump. They're not interested in electing Donald Trump. They saw Donald Trump as the antithesis of everything they believe in, whether it's illegal immigration, making things more palatable, so giving China a great transition to being the number one economy in the world. Well, Trump comes in and says, no, that's not going to happen. 2025, no, it's not going to happen. Oh, by the way, we're going to stop sending our astronauts up into space on Russian missiles costing I think it's like $400 million or something they charge us. It's something ridiculous. But that's what they do. And we put up with that nonsense. We put up with that. That Barack Obama ended America putting astronauts into space. Barack Obama, anti-American, pro-Muslim, pro-LGBT president. Totally anti-American, though. Now, I've given you the four categories. Gave you the four categories where Barr could not, by law, by statute, not a policy, by statute, a law, could not release information. And that's what he did. He's adhering to the law. But that's not good enough for Democrats. They want him to break the law, and then they can say, well, he broke the law. He knew the law. We don't know the law, blah, blah. This is a no-win situation for Mr. Barr. Absolutely no win. But what I'm looking for, and I can't seem to find here, is, let's see, there was an article in Wall Street Journal today, and it was about, I just don't have it here. Oh yeah, I do. I have it right here. Okay. There was a company that got barred from what's that place? Facebook. And we've been talking about Facebook being barred, barring Louis Farrakhan Alex Jones. And yeah, I could see that. But now we have this partisan wrangling on Facebook, and people are going, wait a minute, what's the criterion? Facebook can just step up and bar me when they want. So there's a lady whose company got barred because they are a, pro-life kind of group, and their values are conservative. So so they got taken off by Facebook, and they were trying to figure out, well, make this how do we make this work? How do we get back in the good graces of Facebook? And they were like, well, there are no appeals. And so the people were like, wait a minute, there are no appeals. You took me off. There are no appeals. That doesn't seem right, and it doesn't, and it's not. But they didn't care. I'm just trying to find that article. It was a great article. God, it was a great article. I'll figure it out here in a minute. Let's see. Russian collusion in Venezuela. Right, tax cuts, voters. Oh, here we go. Here we go. This was in the opinion page, and the opinion article is entitled "Our Brush with Google Censorship." So it's written by a man named Ryan P. Williams. He's the president of Claremont Institute. And Claremont Institute, for those of you who are not familiar, is part of Claremont Colleges out in Pomona, very prestigious school. In fact, I went out there with my daughter when she was looking at schools. He goes on to say, he says, Google wasn't represented at a Senate hearing last month on political censorship, but it assured lawmakers in a written statement that our products serve users from all viewpoints and remain politically neutral. Now, we know that's not true. While acknowledging that sometimes our content moderation systems do make mistakes. Yeah, they make a lot of mistakes. Uh, on our American Mind website at Claremont College. Uh, and I think that's really heady, man. But the young people engaged or enlarged a debate about the what it means to be an American. They said we were worrying about the danger. We're worrying about the danger. So to the republic posed by multiculturalism, identity politics, and politically correct speech restrictions. They went on to say Google decided that our writings violated the company's policy on race and ethnicity in personalized advertising, and prevented us from advertising to our readers for our 40th anniversary gala dinner this coming Saturday. It's horrible. At least they gave some airtime. The companies banned our hair news. Hmm, they did. So, I'd read this whole article, and I tell you, basically, what they did was they went public. And once they went public and Google told them they made a mistake, then Google came out publicly and apologized to them. And this is recording of old guy singing in the prison, and they just singing. I got to, let's see. um, but that's what Google does. That's what these people do. We were just talking about that with Dr. Bonner Cohen. These folks, they don't get it. They want us to think like them. They want us to join their agendas. I'm a traditionalist, strictly. I'm not interested in the nouveau thinking. I'm not interested in the new ways. I'm not interested in any of that crap. Now, that's this article in Google. You should read the article. It's a pretty good article, but these people did get a chance to uh, get back on their Facebook page and do some advertising and catch up with some folks. But how many people aren't getting up and getting on because of Google's mistakes? I don't think it was a mistake myself. I think it was on purpose. Definitely. Okay. Disinformation and Russia. Russia's always used misinformation, disinformation. And look up those two terms: disinformation, misinformation. We'll we'll talk about the difference between disinformation, misinformation, and what they mean when we come back from these short breaks. Okay.
Red State Talk Radio is now available as a voice command on your Amazon Echo and Echo Dot by simply saying, Alexa, play Red State Talk Radio.
Red State Talk Radio on TuneIn.
Concern to every single American. Now, we've been hearing all these stories about sanctuary cities that
You can now find us on the Amazon Echo and Echo Dot, on TuneIn, on iHeartRadio, and we also have the phone apps in the App Store for your particular phone. And just in case we activated your Echo Dot, Alexa, stop. Red State Talk Radio is now available as a voice command on your Amazon Echo and Echo Dot by simply saying, Alexa, play Red State Talk Radio.
Red State Talk Radio on TuneIn.
concern to every single American. Now, we've been hearing all these stories about sanctuary cities that
You can now find us on the Amazon Echo and Echo Dot, on TuneIn, on iHeartRadio, and we also have the phone apps in the App Store for your particular phone. And just in case we activated your Echo Dot, Alexa, stop.
Kim Moline, co-owner of the Wingstop restaurants in Lansing and South Holland.
Hey, Tom, I've got to be honest. Although I was unhappy with our old payroll company, I was pretty apprehensive about transitioning into a new one. When it comes to payroll, delays and lost data are really unacceptable. But I'm happy to say your staff really made it easy for us, and the transition couldn't have been smoother. And now, as we consider taking advantage of some of the other services you offer, well, let's just say that next time we won't be so chicken.
Thanks, Kim. Just call me at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507. Or check us out at the web at precisionpayroll.com. That's precisionpayroll.com.
Okay, we're back. We're back, and misinformation, disinformation. We've always had misinformation, disinformation from the Soviets, from the Russians. Used to be called the Soviets because they had the Soviet Union, but they always put a great deal of misinformation and disinformation out here, and these terms have specific definitions. Misinformation is false, inaccurate information, especially that which deliberately is intended to deceive others. Okay? That's misinformation. And disinformation is false information which is intended to mislead, especially propaganda used by a government organization to a rival power of the media. I didn't say this. This is our people saying that. Wow. It is amazing, amazing what's going on out here. Now, as we kind of wind down today, I want you to stop and think when you're at these lies about Mr. Barr. Why? Why are they lying on Mr. Barr? Ken Starr, who was famous for his special prosecutor's role on Bill Clinton, this is what he had to say. Let's play this real quick.
Report is wildly, gratuitously detailed.
There's just too much detail. Take segment. The Russian ambassador with then Sessions during the case. Is there collusion? Well, in about a page and a half, we learn everything about that meeting. Suggestion of collusion, whatever. At the end of that discussion, no suggestion. And yet we read all of this detail, elaborate footnotes. There's some 17 footnotes. There are over 1,000 footnotes. I mean, why? The point of this report is simply to say why I prosecuted or why I didn't prosecute. This is not a term paper.
Okay, so go ahead. Yes, I said this is not a term paper. It's very simple. Why I prosecuted, why I didn't prosecute. No room for interpretation. It's just very clear. The Mueller report is very clear. You don't need a lot of room for interpretation. You don't need people to say, well, it really said, they really meant to say that there was obstruction, but no, it doesn't say that at all. Wish it did, but it didn't. We constantly have to deal with these issues in the media. And I don't mind, but I get tired of people lying. But I'm really proud of Jim Jordan, who's been on my show before. And Jim stood up for Mr. Barr. And
He's following the law. And what's his reward? Democrats are going to hold him in contempt. I don't think today's actually about getting information. I don't think it's about getting the unredacted Mueller report. I don't think last week's hearing was actually about having staff question the attorney general. I think it's, as my colleague said earlier, I think it's all about trying to destroy Bill Barr because Democrats are nervous. He's going to get to the bottom of everything. He's going to find out how and why this investigation started in the first place. Never forget what Bill Barr said a few weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago, when he testified in front of the Senate Finance Committee. Said a lot of important things, but he said four very interesting things. First, he said there was a failure of leadership at the upper echelon, term he used, upper echelon of the FBI. We all know that's the case. Director Comey's been fired. Deputy Director McCabe fired, lied 3 times under oath, according to the Inspector General. FBI counsel Jim Baker demoted and left, currently under investigation by the Justice Department. Lisa Page demoted.
Wow. You can't make this stuff up. I tell you, reality is always way more important, way more interesting than fiction writing. That's why I love it. I love reality. Love the reality check. That's what we do here. We play things that you can relate to. Camilla Harris is outperforming her competitors in raising money from minority communities. Now I don't know why they like Camilla. She's a woman, I guess, good looking. Got the flyaway hair, but she's not one of them. She's like Barack Obama. She's not one of them. She's not a black American. I don't care how long she's lived in America black. She will never be a black American because she was raised with a Jamaican father and Indian mother. There comes the Camila. Um, Corey Brooks, though, he says, wait a minute, we can do better. I'm going to take all your guns. And if you don't give me your guns.
Shot in my neighborhood. And I'm not unique. This is happening all over the country, ripping apart communities. And that's why I'm going to be a president that this is not thoughts and prayers. Faith without works is dead. I'm going to bring a fight to this issue in a comprehensive manner like the NRA has never seen before. There's an urgency in my life that a lot of Americans.
He's lying. I mean, here's a guy who was mayor of Newark for 8 years. Newark is like the second or third city for killings in the country. Always has been for like the last 30 years. I remember going to Newark Airport in the 70s, and you get off the airplane. I got off the airplane when it was at night, and all of the bathrooms were locked. Can you imagine being on a flight from L.A. and you get to Newark and all the bathrooms are locked, man? Horrible, horrible, horrible time. Never forget that. It was in wintertime too. I had to go outside and relieve myself. It was horrible. But that's what you get being in Newark. And then you have the former mayor of Newark saying, "Wait a minute, we don't have a problem." Hey, but look, we'll be back to Monday because we're not going to be on tomorrow. We'll be back Monday, and I hope you enjoy.